I can make my solemn act of dedication with the whole empire listening. I should like to make that dedication now. It is very simple. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Lifestyle and Etiquette. This is a channel where I talk everything lifestyle and etiquette related, all topics regarding soft skills, protocol, soft power etiquette. And I'm Juliana. And today I would like to touch the topic soft power. Why? Because during all the latest events happening around the royal family, also alongside the whole funeral and ceremonies around the latest Queen Elizabeth II, I thought I should bring this topic, soft power, more closer to you all and give some examples why we should never ever underestimate soft power. I'm recording at the moment from UAE and I try, to adapt a bit to the culture and thus the headscarf. I hope you like it. Well, so why is the Queen the ultimate example of soft power? When talking about soft power, she is just the best example to take. And I would like to show you an extract of the CNN correspondent Clarissa Ward and what she was talking about, why the Queen intrinsically understood it in a way nobody did.
Just an extraordinary moment, Aaron. You can see the hearse being pulled there on the gun carriage that pulled also Winston Churchill and Queen Elizabeth II's father, King George VI. I think everybody standing here can't help but to feel moved, not just by the extraordinary beauty of those bagpipes, but by this extraordinary moment, tradition, history, playing out in front of us in a way that we have not seen in our lifetimes.
And as a woman at that era, with no formal education, we shouldn't forget she has been homeschooled and stepping in the most senior role you can imagine a world can have at the age of 25 years, and then masterfully used soft power really as a skill to influence all kinds of great leaders in literally a men's world. I think that skill really made her Great Britain's secret weapon. And we will talk about that today. Stay with me. For not being allowed to express her personal view as a queen, she really masterfully spent decades manipulating mostly men quietly to the views she's representing, and perhaps sometimes just a few that she did hold for herself. The Queen has visited, we shouldn't forget, more than 100 countries. And I think she was really the most widely traveled person, at least world leader, and has hosted more than 100 world leaders in her 70 years of throne. So reigning through hot and cold wars in our time and leading and reigning through sweeping economic changes, soft power is the skill that helped her navigate masterfully her way around all these powerful men, powerful leaders in the world. Well, now people may think, what is soft power? And what are the differences to hard power? We will come to that later. I would also like to mention some examples while talking about, this important skill, soft power, where soft power has been used. I will mention the era of, the 1960-61. And as a Afghanian myself, I can remember this report where there was so much at stake while the Queen was visiting Ghana. So the former Gold Coast declared its independence from the British in 1957, and this was the time where the so young Queen Elizabeth II, with really little experience, visited and was about to negotiate, new relationships with different states who have left the Commonwealth. And there was that scene where I think it was the former president Nkrumah who was dancing with the Queen. And that was, at that time, it was like something one shouldn't do. Why? Because the Queen was literally dancing with a black man, which was Ghana's president, by the way. And she somehow outmaneuvered other former African colonies to also leave the Commonwealth with that act. And that was just a dance, and the job was done. That is a huge example of what soft power can, move, can change. And another example was with her difficult unions who want to leave. And there was this meeting with the Irish Prime Minister where she used, the Gaelic language in her final speech during her visit.
Uachtaráin agus a coisa.
And she literally showcased that, I understand you. I respect you. I respect the use and the history of your language today. And when she left, she reinsured again that sentiment by saying, all of the royal visits that I have conducted in 60 years, this is the one that I really wanted to do. And that was her last sentence before leaving Ireland. I mean, with that sentence, the job was done. That is soft power. She just won the hearts of the Irish. Job done. There are so many different examples. Another one was also for the Scots. She always gave them the feeling when she's in Scotland, she's at home. Her much loved favorite place, by residing in Balmoral Castle, for example, where she also found her last peace. It connects. It's that ability she had to connect, to show she can recover from missteps, to show, she cares. And in Diana's case, when people were mourning her,
since last Sunday's dreadful news, we have seen throughout Britain and around the world an overwhelming expression of sadness at Diana's death. We have all been trying in our different ways to cope. It is not easy to express a sense of loss, since the initial shock is often succeeded by a mixture of other feelings: disbelief, incomprehension, anger, and concern for those who remain. We have all felt those emotions in these last few days. So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart.
she recognized the need to change something, and to know when to say, I as your queen, but also as a grandmother. And this is how she always gains back control. It's that ability to step in at the right moment, to guide a conversation, and also to enable people to save face. And we see that really very often at state visits, where there have been so many faux pas with head of states who did not follow protocol or did not know what to do. She could give you the feeling that you never lose face. And she even goes that further to change the course of history. And during Brexit vote, I remember she was having that blue hat with the colors of the European Union. So wearing a blue hat with yellow, yellow, I think they were looking like blooms, yellow flowers. That is her ability to communicate without saying anything, but at the same time building relationships, to charm, to step in at the right moment, and offer gentle guidance that really in the past have changed the course of history. Another example of such diplomatic successes the Queen had included also preventing a foreign policy crisis in Zambia in the late 1970s. One of the more successful cases was her role in supporting Nelson Mandela, and by doing that, ending the apartheid. And as far as I know, South Africa came back also into the Commonwealth. That is her power. So the Queen knew when to project full regal majesty and when also to play kindly the mother or grandmother. She was a unique diplomatic resource for the government. She also used clothes. We've seen that in all different colors. She used clothes and color to communicate. This is what I call, this is a kind of soft power without saying anything. That's a non-verbal communication, but at the same time giving cues. And she styled herself always as a sympathetic figure, all those bright colors. These are all happy colors. And brought somehow, as I mentioned, as a sympathetic figure. And that soft power has helped keep the United Kingdom unified, and we don't know how long. The Queen's ability, to understand and to navigate all these complexities of relationships with countries, with dignitaries, in a way that many politicians rarely grasp, and to overcome her own personal feelings and emotions, by the way, spoke volumes of her dedication to unify and also to find solutions and common grounds. And she does subtle political statements without words. We saw that also during Brexit. And also when she had, it was a state visit from Saudi Arabia, and she drove as a woman with the Saudi prince. And at that time, I remember that time was when women were not allowed to drive. Now, the Queen's diplomatic skill relies really on her ability to influence, to attract attention, and also to persuade others. And all that, she did all that through the public lens. And she did it in public, but also in private actions. And the royals are required to be apolitical, so they have no other choice than using more nuanced and subtle, techniques to accomplish their goals. And that's something the Queen did very well. And this also depends on her ability to stay apolitical, but still, retain her image as a unifier when just thinking of Ireland. And I would really like to bring also that example when she visited Ireland. One of her soft power tools is also listening and learning, especially from foreign audience. Understanding local sentiments, and when done expertly, it can really further one's foreign relationships. But when done wrongly, it can damage and destroy. And that's something she could really, really masterfully do. I have to say, just to explain the difference between soft power and hard power, there are 5 categories of public diplomacy. We have the advocacy, we have the listening, the cultural exchange, the cultural diplomacy, and informational broadcasting, which we have nowadays. Soft power is really a lesson taught over decades. You can always practice. You can't practice enough, I have to say. It's not given by chance. It's a skill that needs to be practiced as any other skill. It's about relentless preparation, forethought, awareness, listening and planning. And this is a principle that can instruct us, and that's why I'm talking about that today. Everyone can use this principle. I really want to remind people that the Queen's use of soft power through cultural or public diplomacy are really lessons that can be learned and used to accomplish one's objectives, whether in the private life, whether in the public life, whether in the corporate life. We can really use all these skills she masterfully used. And by the way, her excellent higher context culture style of communication, namely her indirect communication, knowing how to read the air when you come into a room. That's something I think today's Gen Z are adapting more. They're adapting more to that, especially through the rise of, social media. And well, after talking about soft power, I'm sure you may want to know, well, what's the opposite? And as I mentioned at the beginning, hard power is the opposite, and it's very simple, namely exercised by military. Hard power is just with military force. And that's why soft power is so important nowadays. Well, we can literally we are witnesses. We are witness of what is happening in the world. So you need to think, do I go the diplomatic way and that's where I will need soft power? Or do I go the hard power way, which is always with military force? That's the difference. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, Soft Power, recorded in Dubai. And as you can see, we can all use these skills to, to grow, to come further, to build relationships. And no matter which position people are, no matter how powerful they are, no matter in which country you are, you can use soft power to influence people in a good way, to, find a common goal and to build relationships and also reach whatever you want to achieve in life. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And please, if you liked it, support me by liking, subscribing, and should you have stayed with me till the end, which I hope to see you again. Thank you. Be safe.